So in this piece by Ortner, she discusses the connections between male um, and this idea of cultured or more cultured. Rather than a strict binary, she makes the statement that women are in fact closer to nature or more closely associated with nature and natural processes than are men. She suggests or builds off of this idea, which was popular in the 1970s, of the universal subjugation of women. This is first wave feminism. She suggests that gender stratification is based on the fundamental opposition between nature and culture. Women, because of childbirth and pregnancy, are universally associated with nature, while men, on the other hand, because they're unable to bear children, are cultural creators and thus are accorded higher status. She identifies cross-cultural patterns of oppositions associated between men and women, and Ortner talks about uncovering the underlying logic of cultural thinking. This is fundamental to structuralist thinking. The title of one section of our essay is Male to Female as Nature is to Culture is Nature and Culture from Levi-Strauss's Fundamental Opposition, by which humans view the world is as between nature and culture, and that in every society, culture is believed to be superior to nature. If everything universal relates to nature and if female subordination is universal, then female subordination must relate to nature. And this, of course, becomes problematic for Ortner as she is developing her essay because she notes that she's looking at the underlying structure of thought and that this underlying structure of thought is potentially universal. And so McGee and Worms also bring up this point of, well, how do you actually overcome this if it's a universal thought pattern within human beings at this fundamental dichotomy or binary between males and females? How do you actually overcome that? But Ordner follows along with Levi-Strauss that humans transcend and control nature by use of symbols. We distinguish ourselves from the natural world and regulate it through the use of ritual. It is through ritual that the dangerous and unacceptable is transformed into the cultural acceptable and safe. Women as closer to nature, she makes her case more compelling but less amenable to testing. So here again is one of the critiques of the structuralist as a whole, this idea of science and scientific, this idea of verifiability or testability, can it be proven falsifiable? It opens the possibility that women mediate between nature and culture as a whole. Ortner's other works, again, very much along the lines of gender, discussions of culture, with Rosaldo, who's mentioned in the text as well, in the McGee and Worms text, as well as George Marcus, Marcus Fisher, writing this idea of writing culture, and Abu Lugold, who has written various comments on culture as a whole and whether the culture concept should still persist within anthropology. So Ortner's work continues to be read and influential within anthropology as a whole. So I hope to have given you guys a broad understanding of structuralism, some of the various themes in structuralism. Again, it is not so much what people do, but what they think. It goes to the underlying notion of the structural thought within people across this idea that this is universal too. However, it's more accessible or understandable in the myths of so-called primitive peoples compared to modern societies that Levi-Strauss maintains there's more to unearth, more to get to or there's more cultural interference in the context of so-called more modern societies. In addition to Levi-Strauss's work, we've read the work of Ortner for this section in class. There's also the work of Edmund Leach. Many of these readings for both Levi-Strauss and Leach are available on Bolt if you'd like to review those.